Hey everyone, welcome back to 996. The Howl World Juniors are finished. Congratulations to Dylan Guenther, Arizona Coyotes' own Dylan Guenther, scoring the golden goal in 3-on-3 overtime. I really hope the NHL never does do or die 3-on-3 in a playoff scenario or even a Stanley Cup final. I like the 5-on-5. But yeah, congrats to Guenther getting the gold medal for Canada. We'll look at other prospects the Coyotes had in the tournament and top prospects that are going to be at the top of the draft. And maybe one of these will be a Coyote as well. So maybe they had three top players in the tournament that are going to be Coyotes players in the future. But let's talk with Guenther, the Golden Goal boy. 7 goals, 3 assists, 10 points. All his goals, most if not all, of his goals were in his office, which is that Ovechkin spot, that Stamkos spot. I'm sure a lot of other teams have their player who just one times the puck, gets fed good passes, and just has an absolute missile and rifle top cheese. We don't see that in the NHL, so I hope that we saw it so much in his junior time in the Western Hockey League, and I was excited for that to translate to the NHL because the Coyotes have rarely, if ever, pretty sure they've never had a guy who just one times the puck off the wing in that office spot that Ovechkin has made famous for. So I hope after this tournament, just the Coyotes coaching staff cultivates more that opportunity and cultivates that skill that Guenther has. He needs to be on the power play. He is usually, but usually he's not one time in the puck. He didn't really have the confidence to shoot the puck. So hopefully, coaching staff sits down with the power play specialist and says, hey, we got to put this guy in his spot and feed him pucks and see where he's at. He's got 3 goals in the NHL, all in the power play. 6 of his 7 goals in the tournament were on the power play as well. And even his 7th goal, the overtime winner, was on 3-on-3. So this guy, 5-on-5 doesn't get his goals. So again, I hope in the NHL, hopefully he comes back to the Coyotes starting next week. I expect him to be with the Coyotes immediately, but wouldn't be surprised if they send him down to a 2-week conditional stint in Tucson. But it could go either way. I would expect him to join the NHL club right away. But yeah, I really want to see him start shooting it a lot more, get fed those great passes on the power play, and just become that sniper, that sharpshooter that I've seen all throughout his junior career and in this tournament as well. The Coyotes desperately need a sharpshooter on their team, and he fits the bill. They just need to do something where it translates to the NHL. So congrats to Guenther. Moving off of Guenther, is Logan Cooley, the second highest point total in the tournament behind the video game player Connor Bedard. But Cooley impressed me so much. Totally different player from Guenther. Guenther's a winger, Cooley's a center. But if you look at all of Cooley's goals in this tournament, they're in the middle of the ice. They're not flashy. They're not skilled. I think the skill comes from actually putting the puck in the net once he gets those opportunities. A lot of players, they can put themselves in great positions on the ice, but they don't have that execution and finishing skill that Cooley does. The moment he's in the right spot and he gets the puck, it's in the back of the net. Every goal, about 2 feet in front of the goalie, he attacks, he penetrates the middle of the ice. He's not a perimeter player. He was the #1 centerman for the USA team. I think he's growing and growing every time I see this guy. So, maybe we see him at the end of the college season. If they don't go too far in the playoffs, he could join the Coyotes late, just like Clayton Keller did in his college year, or maybe we see him next season. But yeah, 7 goals, 7 assists, 14 points, 7 games played for each Guenther and Cooley. So both of them above a point per game. Cooley, 2 points per game. Really excited for Cooley. Maybe even more for Guenther. I guess that's just because I've seen Guenther at the NHL level already. And a bit underwhelming, but I think Guenther's just going to get better and better. Maybe he needs to be played with better players. We'll see how the line mixes up now with Michelli out of the lineup due to an injury. So maybe Guenther gets top 6 minutes. Maybe he plays with Keller. Maybe he's on the first power play unit. But, great job for Cooley getting USA the bronze medal. Guenther obviously got the gold medal. So, really happy for Cooley. I'm liking what he's seeing. He knows where to go on the ice, the quiet areas, the middle of the ice. Just a great centerman, and hopefully a number one centerman for the Coyotes, which we haven't had in a really, really long time. Now, before I move on, I just want to give some comparisons. Clayton Keller, he had 11 points in 7 games played in his last World Juniors. Hayden, 12 points in 7 games in his last World Junior. Chychrun never played in the under 20 World Junior Championship. And Dylan Strome had 10 points in 7 games played. So it's a mixed bag. It's never going to translate like 1-to-1. If this player did amazing at the tournament, they're going to be amazing in the NHL level. We see that with Hayden. Like I said, 12 points in 7 games, more than Guenther. Hasn't really translated well. He's pretty much becoming a third-line centerman who's good at face-offs. Goes to the front of the net. Some skill, but not consistent. He's still got room to grow. He's not finished growing, Hayden is. So hopefully he gets better as well and improves and helps his team center depth. Chychrun, an elite defenseman, hot on the market. Going to get about 2 first-round picks at the deadline, hopefully. Never played in the tournament. So even if you don't play in the tournament, doesn't mean you're not going to be a bona fide NHLer. So Chychrun shows that side as well. And then Dylan Strome, over a point per game, 10 points, just like Guenther. Never materialized for the Coyotes in the NHL. Had an okay stint with Chicago and is having an okay stint with Washington right now. So it doesn't always translate. Got to be careful. It's just good to see some improvement and these players reach their goals. The goal for Guenther to go down in the World Juniors was to win the championship. That's what Bill Armstrong said. He's going down there to play important games, have an impact in meaningful games, and lead this team to a gold medal. And he accomplished that goal. Some depth prospects for the Coyotes. Sam Lipkin was usually an extra forward for the USA, but in the bronze medal game, he was listed as second-line winger. He managed to get 1 assist in 7 games played. He used to be a teammate of Josh Stone's for the Chicago Steel in the United States Hockey League, but right now he's playing in the NCAA. Julian Lutz, a most recent draft, a second-round draft pick, 2 assists in 5 games played. He didn't score at the tournament, and he hasn't scored in the 2022 season in Germany. So a second-round pick, you expect him to be better, but it's still too early. He just got drafted this most recent summer, so still a lot of room to grow. He's in a German league, one of the few Coyotes prospects, if only prospect, in the German league. And then we have Zelinka with 1 assist in 5 games played. He is committed to Northeastern in the NCAA next season, so that's another NCAA player that is in the Coyote system. Seems like the NCAA seems to be the right way to go for the Coyotes. You got Cooley, you got Josh Stone, Farinacci, you got Zelinka. I'm pretty sure Lipkin is in the NCAA right now. So, a lot of NCAA college players, that development journey seems to be the way to go. And then obviously Guenther went through the Western Hockey League in Canada. So let's look at the top 23 draft picks, prospects that were at this tournament. Connor Bedard throwing up video game numbers, over 3 points per game. This guy was unbelievable. He had an overtime winner. I think it was against Slovakia, earlier this week. An unbelievable individual effort. 9 goals, 14 assists, 23 points in 7 games played. He was held pointless in the gold medal game. So, even though teams try to overcompensate and have 1, 2, 3 men covering Bedard, there's so much other talent on that Canada team that was able to do the work and win the game for Bedard. I loved his post-game interview when the reporter asked him about his, historic tournament. It was the most points by a Canadian in a single tournament, most points by a Canadian in all their tournaments in their career. He's the number 1 point leader. He just said, hey, it's not about me. Let's not talk about me. let's talk about this team and this country and what a performance the team put together to win the gold medal. So great words from a 17-year-old, pretty remarkable there. And then, I doubt the Coyotes are going to get Bedard, but he's there on the board. The Coyotes should get one of these players. The draft is a crazy thing. About last year at this time, Shane Wright was the number one bona fide draft pick for 2022, and then we saw he got picked 4th overall. So things are in motion. Things fluctuate. You can never predict the future. But I expect the Coyotes to draft one of these guys. Then you have Leo Carlsson of Sweden. 6 points in 7 games played. Sweden finished 4th. They lost to USA in the bronze medal game. Edward Sale, these are all wingers. Not wingers. These are all forwards. I believe Sale is the winger, and Carlson is listed as center/winger. But Bedard and Fantilli are centermen. And also all these players are wingers as well. So, the defensive pipeline for the Coyotes is not too good. Maverick Lamoureux, who was just drafted most recently this past summer, he was injured most of the past couple months and didn't make the Canadian team. And Connor Geekie also didn't make the Canadian team. He's a centerman. But no defensemen here. No defensemen in the top, 5, 6 prospects upcoming in the draft. So I think after their first pick in order in the first round. After that pick, I think the Coyotes will target more defensemen and draft more defensemen because our pipeline's pretty weak, especially with Chychrun and Gostisbehere on the trade market. We're left with Moser, Valimaki, and Soderstrom with Lamoureux in the Quebec Junior League. So it's pretty bare, so hopefully they beef that up as well. Going back to Edward Sale, 6 points in 7 games played, 1 goal, 5 assists for Czechia. And then another Canadian player, a highly touted player. You had Guenther, Bedard, Wright, and now Fantilli. Pretty loaded Canadian group. 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. Maybe I expected more out of Fantilli. He's expected to be drafted 2nd or 3rd overall. So I expected a little bit more. I could see he's more of a dangler, maybe sort of a Clayton Keller type, but it was hard for him to penetrate the middle of the ice, I found. But I would be excited if the Coyotes drafted Fantilli as well. I'd be excited for any of these players to be drafted by the Coyotes. It's great that he had great showings at the tournament. And we'll see as this season moves along and the closer we get to the draft. Once, maybe the draft order starts to get finalized and complete, we'll see these players. I think all these players will be drafted in the top 10 for sure. Top 8, top 7, most likely, but you never know. There's another player, Dvorsky, who plays on Slovakia. He's a highly touted prospect as well. But that's it for the Coyotes. I'm really happy. Guenther got the gold medal goal, the Golden Goal as they call it. Hopefully he comes back to the Coyotes with so much confidence. Cooley impresses me every time I see him. I know I see him rarely, but every time I do, he's taking the next steps, the right steps. So hopefully, at the end of the season, we see about 5 games from him. But if his team goes really far in the playoffs, we'll see him at next training camp. And next year is going to be really good. We won't be really tanky next year. I don't expect us to be amazing, but it won't be a tank year. It will just be a year like saying this is what we got and let's take steps forward. But this year, it's still that, the motivation is to increase their odds to the best of their abilities to get a high draft pick. Next year it won't be. And hopefully next year Cooley, takes Travis Boyd's spot in the number 1 center position. But, it's great that Guenther and Cooley had great tournaments. I love it for the Coyotes. Puts their name on the map. A lot of people, not really focused on the Coyotes or don't really pay attention to the Coyotes, hear these names like Guenther and Cooley, both leading their country, Canada and the U.S., the 2 biggest markets for the NHL. So that's great to see. They're going to know their names. And if they start translating that to the NHL, people are going to be like, oh, I know those guys. They had a great tournament for the World Juniors. Maybe I should pay attention to the Arizona Coyotes. So it's all about growing the game, growing the brand, and exposing that the Coyotes have a great team coming up and you should keep an eye on them. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, one more, Michkov. I have it highlighted here. Michkov is touted to be a top 5 draft pick in 2023, but Russia was banned from the tournament. He's a Russian player, which is why he's not here. But he's expected to go top 5, maybe even top 3. He's a highly touted Russian prospect, so don't forget him as well. So along with these names that you should familiarize yourself with, Michkov is also a top prospect that will be drafted this summer. So familiarize with him as well. He's not on this board, but he is a top 2023 prospect. So yes, thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.